Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is Ash Quest, and today I would like to start a new series about unboxing old games. We're going to be unboxing secondhand games, and as such, we may encounter pre-sleeved cards, pre-punched tokens, pre-assembled and in some cases painted miniatures, and other telltale signs that a game has been gently used and or greatly loved. Sometimes we'll be unboxing games from yesteryear, other times we'll be unboxing games that are decades old, as if they were new. And so the first game that I would like to unbox today is... And so the first game in this series of secondhand unboxing is going to be the title of this video, of course, Warhammer Quest, the adventure card game by Fantasy Flight Games, with license from Games Workshop. This is a card game of epic dungeon exploration for 1 to 4 players, designed by Adam and Brady Sadler, and this game came out in 2015. Now this is a rather clever take on the classic Warhammer Quest formula, Warhammer Quest being the dungeon crawling version of the franchise's game system, not the war gaming system. For that, you would go play Warhammer Fantasy Battles, Warhammer 40k being the contemporary version, or Age of Sigmar. This is more focused on the dungeon crawling aspect that was introduced with Warhammer Quest back in 1995, and it is a very scalable system. It has a lot of really clean rules. It does not require a DM or GM. All of the enemies are controlled by their own little algorithmic actions. And it seems like, when researching the game, that there was supposed to be enough ambition to cover many expansions. And actually, when you unbox this, you get the classic Fantasy Flight box inlay, where you've got risers on either side and just a narrow canyon of content. This sort of thing drives me nuts. I can't stand this sort of presentation because it really limits how I put things back in the box and sort them. And this stuff is just taking up space for no reason. Thanks for nothing, Fantasy Flight Games. But sadly, the only expansion content that came out for the adventure card game are 2 warrior packs, the Witch Hunter and the Troll Slayer, which I also was able to obtain and will be a part of this unboxing and presentation. Before we do that, let's take a look at the back of the box. I'll show you the game contents. That's everything that's supposed to come with your standard game, and this will work with Fantasy Flight Supply 3 and 2 protective card sleeves. Here is the game information, 14 plus, 1 to 4 players, takes between 30 and 60 minutes to play, suggested retail time, and the UPC barcode for the product itself. Delve into the darkness and peril of the old world. You no sooner set foot inside the ancient ruins than the tunnel behind you collapses. Foul laughter screeches all around you. You cannot hope to dig your way out. All you can do is search for an exit. Warhammer Quest, the adventure card game, is a cooperative game of heroic dungeon adventures for 1 to 4 players. Players assume the roles of some of the old world's most iconic heroes, then venture into the shadows to battle goblins, trolls, orcs, ghouls, ratmen, and other creatures. Can you survive their relentless onslaught? Can you press deeper into their lair to find the evil villain that drives them forward? There are only 2 ways for your quest to end: in death or in glory. I would argue in taxes, but I think that was an advanced Hero Quest mechanic, not a Warhammer Quest. Back to the contents of the game. You get not 1, but 2 different rule books. One is the Learn to Play book, and the other one is the Rules Reference. Flip through these beautifully illustrated, elegantly typed rulebooks and promptly pack away the Learn to Play, never to be a danger to society again, because this book is one of the most atrociously designed rulebooks I have ever seen. Rather than teaching you how to play, it offers all kinds of information out of order in an effort to limit or slow your learning time by as much as it possibly can. Seriously, you're better off looking up a tutorial, or in a future video, if I'm able to do a proper how to play and playthrough of this, I'll definitely explain the rules, but you're going to have a pretty tough time with them here. I would say that learning how to play by using the Learn to Play book is as difficult, if not harder, than surviving your very first quest playing Warhammer Quest, the classic 1995 edition. The quick reference and the rules reference are just fine. In fact, the rules reference is a great way to learn. The only issue is it's not really set up to teach you, per se from the beginning, unless you are good at reading references. It does have this beautiful first 2 pages for the setup diagram, initial setup, and quest setup. This is great. The rest of it is arranged alphabetically, but at least every single topic has related topics attached to it and will continue to guide you around the book. So you can definitely use this as a very handy tool in learning how to play. But this is definitely one of those just look up a YouTube video situations. Okay, enough complaining about that. The 2 books, as we've seen, 6 quest sheets, which are double-sided, and these can be played as part of a larger campaign, and when you're done, you'll wish that there were many, many more of these. One of these is a delve quest. Not the one in this bag, though. This is sort of my save data, if that makes sense. This is what I'm using to teach myself to play. The quest sheets tell you how to set up a given quest, and by using these, every single game of Warhammer Quest, the adventure card game, can be vastly different. This would be the heart of homebrew as well. You would make your own quest sheets if you wanted to create your own campaigns using the contents of the box. Once again, everything in here is completely jumbled and shuffled up. Thank you for nothing, Fantasy Flight Games. Thanks for nothing. You get 12 of these condition cards. There are 3 types, 4 cards per type. This is so that each hero can get a condition applied to them. There's Sickened, there's Bleeding, and then there is Empowered. You'll get wound tokens, and these are probably my favorite wound tokens ever because they are double-sided and there are different numbers on each side, which give them a lot of utility. You'll never run out of wound markers playing this game. And it's a good thing too, because some of your heroes have crazy amounts of wounds. Success tokens and progress tokens. Again, double-sided. Please, every game manufacturer ever do this. For storage, I'm just going to keep them all together in this baggie because it's easy enough to reach in and draw out the correct one to apply to your situation. You'll get 38 dungeon cards, and these are pretty much the replacement of the event cards in Warhammer Quest. Some of these are events, others are items. You'll get 38 You'll get 38 dungeon cards. Some of these cards are items, some are events. No, hold on. Just hold on. You'll get 38 dungeon cards. Some of these cards are items, some of them are events. Good or bad. You'll get 33 gear cards. Gear kind of looks like this: weapon, melee, the stiletto. During your attack action, you may discard 1 success to choose 1 target enemy engaged with you. Apply -2 to its resilience. And this, armor, light, studded leather. Apply +2 to your health value. Before your rest action, you may exhaust another action card to apply +1 success. And that's what our little double-sided axes are. They are successes, and they are driven by dice roll using these dice. Now, these dice are going to be of the utmost interest for pretty much any gamer. We have 3 black dice that represent enemy actions, and on these black dice, we have 2 blank faces, 3 scratched faces, and 1 nemesis face. The white dice are our heroes' dice, and they represent successes, double successes, defense, success and defense, and critical success. And if you roll a critical success during any of your actions, you can apply 1 success and then re-roll the critical success dice, potentially getting another success or double, or potentially getting another critical success, at which point you would apply another success and re-roll the die again. That's really interesting. It actually means you could get like a ton of successes, but you roll these together depending on the action that you take and how many monsters with which you are engaged at the time you take your action. Now, that's just to give a little bit of context to the components. This isn't an overall how to play video. So continuing on, you'll get 1 party leader token, and this is just the token that represents who's going first during a round of play. This gets passed to the next player in the next round. Next, pre-sleeved with this used copy, we have our hero cards. We're going to have hero cards and action cards for the heroes. Now, this is actually the Witch Hunters set, who, as I said, was sort of an expansion, a warrior pack, if you will. There was the Witch Hunter and there was the Troll Slayer, and those expansions are easily multiple times the cost of the Warhammer Quest adventure card game. You can get this for between $18 and $36 USD on eBay right now, as of the time of this video anyway. But these additional card sets are somewhere around the 60 to 80 USD price range. I would not call them worth it unless you have to have all of the components of Warhammer Quest and the additional options for hero players, because it's just a pack of like 18 or 20 cards for the character and the gear. That's all it is. But that's what we do on this channel. We collect everything. So your set of actions are going to come in two flavors. You're going to have basic actions and advanced actions. We'll discard the advanced actions for now so that I can show you the basic actions. These are the ones that you would start out with if you were, per se, the Witch Hunter. And you've got 4 different types. All heroes have 4 different types, one of each type: explore, rest, aid, and attack. And you follow the instructions on the card, but it almost always involves rolling the white dice, the number of white dice it specifies, plus as many black dice as necessary depending on how many enemies you are engaged with at the time. So if you're engaged with one enemy, you can still do any of these actions, including rest or explore, to try to manipulate progress in the current location / quest, or rest to recover wounds, or aid another hero so that they can be emboldened on their next turn somehow, or perhaps recover wounds themselves. And you would roll, let's say we're fighting a wolf or something, and we get nothing on our enemy die, which means the enemy, while a present threat, isn't doing anything with our hero, while our hero is able to apply 3 successes and actually would have had a shield. Now, if the enemy with which we were engaged did have a result such as a scratch, we'll just pull out one of the enemies at random. And by the way, the game does come with enemy cards. We'll look at these a little bit closer here in a bit. Goblin Shaman, for example, has a 2. This is their attack value. You would apply the enemy's attack to your hero minus any shields that you rolled. So this shield does not negate this attack necessarily. It would if the enemy's attack value on their card was just 1, but since it's 2, one of these gets by and attacks the hero anyway. This just means that the enemy has successfully attacked. You use the attack value on the card to apply that attack. The shield negates one of the 2 points of attack, and your hero is going to lose a wound, or gain a wound, however that terminology works in Warhammer. They're going to lose a hit point. Ha! I did the taboo thing. Woo! As to what the successes mean, they're different things depending on what the action was that you were taking. If you're attacking, a success is going to mean that you're attacking the enemy. Each one of these is going to play out kind of like a skull rolled in Hero Quest. If you are aiding, then each success could mean recovering wounds equal to the number of successes you roll. This has slightly different instructions because different character. But the really interesting thing about these cards is that you have the ability to play any of them that you want on your turn, up to 1 action. If your hero has 2 actions they can perform, then you can play 2 of these and roll success dice and enemy die for each one that you do, but they will exhaust when you use them. So when your turn comes around next time, you don't have access to those skills. So you might be wondering how to recover the skills, and that lies in the symbol right here. This is the refresh symbol. In this game, it's called a prepare icon. Whenever you use the skill, the action that has this prepare icon, you don't exhaust the card. It rather readies all of your previously exhausted actions, and you can use them on your next turn now. So you can basically use this character's action that has a prepare icon as many times as you like, all in a row. Whenever it's your turn, you can use this and it will refresh itself. When it's your turn again, you can use it again. It's much more helpful to use your other actions, and the game is designed and set up that way so that you will be using these, and then use your prepare icon action to re-ready all of your exhausted cards. But the actual cards that you will use, the actual actions that you will implement, will greatly depend on what it is you're trying to achieve whenever it's your turn in the current round. You may have a lot of enemies that need to be eradicated. You might need to make some serious progress in the quest that you're playing. But all in all, that is a really interesting way of doing things. Now, as for your characters themselves, we have the Way Watcher, and I think I'll name her Jenny Craig. I'm waiting for you to get the joke. Nobody? Just me? I'm old? Okay. The Bright Wizard, the Dwarf Ironbreaker, and the Warrior Priest. and the aforementioned Troll Slayer Dwarf, and the Witch Hunter. Everybody looks fantastic. Now, every character is going to have 3 character cards, and the one that you pick depends on the number of heroes that are going to be present in the game. If you've got 4 players, you'll use the card that has the 4 player symbols in the top right corner, because this one is attuned for a 4 hero party. Note that there's 12 wounds, and just flavor text here instead of any special action or attribute. Now, in a 3-player game, this is going to be a bit more difficult, so you're using the 3-player version of this hero, who is stronger. They have 16 wounds, and if this hero is the party leader, he activates twice during each hero phase. He is being used in the classic sense. It could refer to either male, female, NB. If you are playing with 2 players, then you will use this card, and this is the 24 wound version. This hero activates twice during each hero phase. So essentially, you've got 2 heroes who are almost as strong as 4 heroes. It's worth noting that if you're playing with 1 player, then you'll still use this 2-player convention, but you'll use 2 heroes. So you'll end up with 2 heroes that have a total of 4 of these gray player symbols in the top right of their corners when you total them together. In addition to the gear cards, there are legendary gear cards that are for specific characters, such as the Keys of Secret. This is an accessory. Equipment, apply +1 to the limit of successes that can be placed on each of your actions. And the Cinder Staff. Before each of your actions, you may suffer 1 wound to apply 1 success. Next, we have location cards. Location, location, location. Now, these almost sort of kind of take the place of the dungeon rooms that you draw in classic Warhammer Quest, but not really, but sort of. See, after completing all of the hero and enemy activations, the party resolves location effects. Each location has a unique location effect printed on its card. You get flavor text, the illustration, the name of the location, and then the location effect. With this card, it's at the end of the location phase, the party leader may discard 2 progress from this location. If he does not, spawn 1 enemy face down to the shadows. So you can kind of see how this becomes a sort of press your luck game of what do I trade, what do I risk, in order to gain a reward. This is the card's exploration value, normal enemy spawns, and enemies that have spawned in the shadows. There are a lot of locations. Whoops, what are you doing in there? With varied effects and exploration values, and you can fully explore locations. Finally, there are the enemy cards, the monsters, and best believe this is taking full advantage of the Games Workshop license, because we can have our Skaven, we can have our Games Workshop orcs and goblins. Here we have our Warlock Engineer Skaven, our Clan Rat, our Giant Bats. You can definitely never find a giant bat in any other game ever. It's exclusively a Games Workshop creation. A bat, but it's gigantic. This is the number of wounds that this monster has, as well as its resilience, and you have some flavor text as well as some special enemy effects, if there are any. You also get the name and class of the enemy, as well as what tier in which it belongs, and the enemy's attack value. The enemy has a series of keywords printed on its card, and the enemy will resolve each keyword in turn as it goes through its is played by each is played during its turn. All of the enemies have slightly different keywords, and while there are a number of very common keywords that are described in the book, those keywords that are unique to each enemy are described on the face of the card. So after playing for a bit, you'll no longer need the text below. You can just go inflict prey. And if you run into this orc boy, it's advance. It's always advance. Then if you run into this giant spider, it's always inflict, ensnare, and retreat. It's a really clean way of doing things, and it makes things simple, at least once you learn the keywords. The skeleton horde, always advance. Nice. You get a couple of really niche enemies as well, like the Jezzail team. These are the Skaven with the really long guns. Here they are in the dungeons of Warhammer Quest with their really long guns. I'm not really sure why. Why would you bring these long guns to these tight corridors? What kind of advantage are you hoping to gain, rat boy? The ghoul. Black orcs are here as well. And that's kind of it. This mess of cards comprises the Warhammer Quest gameplay experience. I'm going to have a ton of fun resorting back through all of this stuff, categorizing it and putting it back in the box the way it was before I opened it and had to completely trash the contents. However, I will say it is at least kind of easy to save your progress. I threw my campaign card in here, as well as the current heroes that I'm using and their basic ability loadout loadouts and the enemies that I was fighting. The enemies that it tells you to go ahead and place out to fight right away, and the enemies that are in the shadows. And the next time that I try, I should be able to make quite a bit of progress with that already out and ready. Guys, thank you so much for coming with me on this second-hand unboxing journey. Please let me know what you thought of this video. Comment anything else you'd like down below. Feel free to check out the Patreon and let me know what game I should unbox next.
You should unbox Hero Quest. There's not enough unboxing videos for that game. What?
Don't listen to the dragon. Have a great rest of your day, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.